Good morning and a warm welcome to this week's edition of the Dialogue on Salt TV. My name is Prince Apollo. Welcome to the big show. This is the time when we reflect on major events of the week. The panel is set to take you through those major events, and we will also, during the show, invite your submissions, comments, and observations on the matters at hand. Welcome once again on the show this morning. We will be looking at the apology from the head of state, President Museveni, standing at Kololo ceremonial grounds, made a public apology to Ugandans and particularly to Buganda, of course, over what went wrong or what has gone wrong during his 39 years as the leader of the ruling national resistance movement. Well, the apology has been welcomed with mixed reactions. Some people saying the apology is not enough, others saying the apology is a good gesture from a leader who has agreed and taken responsibility. Well, those are some of the critical issues we'll be looking at, but also we'll have time to look at the High Court ruling in which the Justice Bernard Namanya annulled the Kawempe North MP Elias NALUKOOLA's victory. Well, we'll be also asking some questions, especially on the precedent that this ruling sets and what lies ahead for the future of elective politics in Uganda. My name once again is Prince Apollo. Let me introduce my panel, and it's with profound honor that I introduce Dr. Gerard Wansala, a resident panelist, but also he is a researcher and an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. I'm always pleased to have you on the show, Doctor.
Thank you, Apollo. Good morning, and good morning, my colleagues in the studio. Of course, our viewers, we value you, and a good morning, most especially my neighbors in the United Republic of Chirinya. By the way, we had a challenge in the week in Chirinya. A man committed suicide with his family. Can you imagine? He went and bought petrol, locked the whole family and himself in the house, and blew up himself. Ugandans, we know challenges are many, but let's seek mental health treatment. You know, we know the challenges are big. The economy is not going well for many, but domestic violence is also not good, because I understand the cause was domestic violence.
Wow. Thank you so much, Doctor. And that cannot be entirely suicide, because perhaps the head of the house decided to commit suicide, but also killed,
of course,
all others. It's very unfortunate to hear. Richard Bagumati Kasimire, a veteran journalist, but also now a political commentator. He's dressed up in a bib branded marathon. Hope he was running the whole of this morning. Welcome to the show.
The usual way is we start with God. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here.
Sure.
Yet again, giving us the life and the ability to come.
At least you can run.
Yes. This morning I created my own route. We are running for road safety. We are losing not less than 14 people every day.
Sure.
In Uganda due to road crashes. We have thousands and tens of thousands more with injuries. We are losing trillions. The World Bank estimates that we are losing 4.4 trillion shillings in road crash, road carnage related expenses. So we run today.
Wow.
To try and raise this. The tragedy is that a huge percentage of the crashes and resultant deaths and injuries are actually preventable. It is because of recklessness and overspeeding.
Sure.
So we ran this morning. I created my own route. I couldn't run 5 kilometers, but it was 5 kilometers, 10 and 21.
Yet I want to tell you to run from Mukogo to here to organize border in order to raise awareness about.
Isn't that a form of fraud? To create your own route when there is a designated route for the marathon.
Yeah, I don't know if you declare fraud to the organizers. Is it still fraud? The lawyers will tell us. Because I declared this. I said I'm unable to compete in the 5. I am creating my brand and I am deserting you because I have to go and reach many more millions of people on television and radio. Yeah, but it was well attended.
Sure.
In my view, the minister responsible for transport, General Katumba Amara, was there. And I was impressed by the corporate and ministries' participation. I was actually impressed, yes. So, Apollo, I want to invite you next time.
Yeah.
This we do annually, but we want to also make it regional.
I can't create my own route.
You can run 5, I guess.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. I want to thank our viewers. Apollo, I want to thank our viewers.
Sure.
This morning,
yeah.
At the run, somebody called Baguma. He told me he's with the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs.
Oh.
He says, I see you, I know you.
That's amazing.
So I really want to thank our viewers.
It's amazing.
Yes, and all of us, the team here.
Thank you, Richard. I'm always pleased to have you on the show. And most importantly, the message that you have today about road crashes and efforts to propagate that consciousness about road safety within our people is very, very important. I'm privileged to have on the show this morning Council Lufunya Derrick. And Derrick is a lawyer, but also an aspiring member of parliament for Rubaga South. Pleased to have you on the dialogue this morning.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Apollo. I want to thank first God for giving us life, for creating an environment and giving management the ability to create a platform like this to come and discuss those issues of national importance. I will also put my voice together with my colleagues in studio today, Richard here and Dr. Wanzala, to urge Ugandans to be peaceful, to follow peace. I don't know why we should lose lives so early, so young. Lives should be snatched away, futures disrupted because of road carnage, because of issues of domestic violence. We should not have a country. We should aspire for a country that is better than the one that we have right now. In a special way, I want to thank the people of Rubaga South for embracing competence in leadership. You know, I have always told them that what I have to offer is, I can't offer what I don't have. I won't offer billions. I don't have the billions, but I can offer to be a mouthpiece for them as a legislator if I'm given the opportunity. The rest, I wish our viewers and my colleagues and you yourself, Apollo,
thank you.
A very good show.
Thank you so much, Council Lufunya Derrick, and thank you so much, our viewers. That is how we now kick off the big debate on Salt TV, the dialogue. And like I said, the highlight of the week is the apology from the head of state. But before we do that, let's first look at the circumstances surrounding the High Court ruling in which the Justice Bernard Namanya threw out Honorable NALUKOOLA out of Parliament. And I'll possibly want to hear from the lawyer first, because at first, when Nambi Farida petitioned court, many people dismissed her as a joker, as I mean, they thought there was no case at first. That's what many people say, that there was no case. But here we are. The the battle still rages on, because even NALUKOOLA's camp have already mentioned that they are petitioning the appellate court. What is your opinion about this ruling?
Apollo and our viewers, people must understand that in the structure of the state, we allowed the judiciary to be the arbiter between parties with disputes, and those disputes also cover election disputes. Now, we had a by-election in Kawempe North to replace the late Honorable Muhammad Segirinya as Member of Parliament, and all of us witnessed what happened in Kawempe North. The beating up of journalists, the heavy deployment, kicking ballot boxes, voter intimidation, defranchisement of voters, but also abrogation of duty by an institution that has been constitutionally mandated to carry out elections. Away from what we do here as being pundits on what actually the court ruled and what the wananchi are saying about the election, it is important that if we are to have a sane country, sane in quotes, we must have credible elections. We must have credible and sensible electoral processes that give us leaders who have been manufactured, who have been created out of authentic processes.
True.
Now, if we have leaders, members of parliament, who do not have books
as in
qualifications,
okay.
Academics.
Academic
we have Dr. Wanzala here and Richard here. They are not here by coincidence. They're here because of training. I think it's like when you said, if you offer guineas, you get monkeys. You get policymakers who are after. You see what is happening in parliament and all that. So we should not allow anywhere under the sun in Uganda here to have a messy election.
Sure.
Now, what happened in Kawempe North, all of us saw. And I think you invited me sometime, and I think on the polling day itself, you invited me here, and I wish the people of Kawempe North would take a leaf of conducting elections in a peaceful manner, which they did not. Now, it is a right for every party who is aggrieved under our systems to go to court and challenge. What our viewers must understand, justice is poetic. It's not necessarily the truth. But processes, legal processes and procedures are handmaidens of justice that would alter a result. It's not, because you see, there is argument in the wananchi that surely Nambi lost the election. There is that rhetoric that she lost the election, even if it were to happen, the next day she will lose.
The odds were against her.
Yes, but that's not what necessarily justice is all about. Justice is about following processes, and if you do not follow the processes, then there are sanctions that are placed in the law. There are two highlights that came out of that ruling, judgment of Justice Bernard Namano. Two aspects. One, we cannot allow an election, a shabby election, to defranchise almost 16,000 votes, including the petitioner. That cannot be allowed. It cannot be, such an election cannot be allowed to stand. It doesn't matter who will win it if another by-election is organized, but you cannot systematically defranchise 16,000 people and claim you have the legitimacy to be a member of parliament. Secondly, personal liability. One of, I think the first respondent was found to have committed, was held, this is a judgment of the court, to have committed an electoral offense.
By campaigning.
On the polling day.
Personally campaigning on polling day.
On a polling station where the petitioner was supposed to be voting from, and he was not a member, a registered voter of that polling station. Campaigning, there were so many things in that election that if you get the opportunity of reading the judgment, you'll find that we need to do serious electoral reforms, but then our electoral laws must also have, they must have pain, they must have a punitive aspect of it. It's not about saying you campaigned on election day. They should be something you lose.
So from what you've just submitted, it seems like as a lawyer, you really expected such a ruling.
Yeah.
And indeed Nambi had, substantial grounds for to support her petition.
The writing was all over the world. The writing was all in the world that these electoral offences were being committed before our eyes, before you, the journalists, amongst the candidates themselves, and one was held by the court to have committed them. And I saw something that has become so Ugandan. I saw what they call witness tampering. Witness tampering. One side claiming to have bought witnesses of the other side and then getting affidavits. It's so messed up. I don't know. I think Ugandans must learn that we should not stoop too low. We should not bastardize the politics. When we bastardize the politics, what we get is road carnage. What we get is the corruption. Because if I bribe my way to parliament, why should I go and represent the people? I've already paid you. Why should I do that? So the court judgment was welcome. It was timely.
Wow.
It should be a wake-up call for any political actors, including the Electoral Commission, but including those who are in Parliament, who have the opportunity to make sure that we do not have messed up elections.
Thank you.
To do a good job so that Ugandans have a peaceful electoral process.
Thank you, Councillor Derek Lufunya. You've given us a very good background from where we can kick off the discussion. And for the benefit of our viewers, there were only two, I don't know if what I can call them, from which the justice made that ruling. One, the claim that Honorable NALUKOOLA campaigned, himself personally, campaigned on polling day, which goes against which contravenes the sections in the Parliamentary Elections Act.
Yeah.
Number two is the 14
polling stations.
14 polling stations.
Yes.
With
16,000
16,000
votes are no returns.
640 voters whose votes were not counted.
Yeah.
And those were the grounds for, the basis for this ruling.
Yes.
Dr. Willie Wanzala, now you can tell us whether you expected such a ruling, and I will come back to Councillor Lufunya later, because some pundits have actually said that this ruling sets a very bad precedent, and yet here you're saying it's a good precedent, and this could not be, we could not let it go anyway. Let me hear from you. Did you expect this ruling?
Apple, this ruling, when we debated here, when Nambi was going to court, we looked at the circumstances. And then for me, the issue that I stood on, I did not focus so much on the outcome, because I know that cases where the Electoral Commission is jointly sued with the candidate are very complicated. Because even if they convict only the Electoral Commission and the election was affected substantially, like in the case of Apollo Kantinti, it can be nullified. Because in the case of Kantinti, they did not say he committed electoral offenses, but they said the Electoral Commission did not hold the election according to the law.
That's painful.
That's painful. But the other painful aspect is that such a ruling really is very punitive to the victor, who was also a victim of the circumstances under which the election was held. Now, when I saw the events in Kawempe in the evening towards the end of the elections, after the beating of journalists and chasing them, and then how the JAT, Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, backed by some civilians, raided polling stations and destroying polling materials, kicking boxes. I knew they was up to something. They were setting up something, because at the end of the day, you could not expect the Electoral Commission to depend on ballot boxes that have been manufactured along the way and delivered with the declaration forms that are not signed by agents of both candidates. For me, I saw that the Electoral Commission was actually right to set up a way that. And of course, if it has 16,000 voters, that is substantial to affect the outcome of the what? The election. Another person would have argued that the gap between the winner and the loser was so huge.
That was part of the big argument.
Yes. That even if they voted, this was like a sum, but if they voted in another 14,000, so 14 polling stations, would she have overtaken the winner? But that was put aside, because I think the argument that stood was disenfranchising of the voters, that all people who registered in those polling stations, their vote did not count, including Nambi, the candidate herself. Now, while I may sympathize with the Electoral Commission, I am also at pains not to leave them go scot-free. Why? Well, elections are conducted by the Electoral Commission, but the other stakeholders that are supposed to keep the security
police,
around. Police were hired by Electoral Commission to go and guard the ballot, the polling stations. Now, the Electoral Commission submitted that they did not know where others came from. But we have ever witnessed an election in Kampala here on a voting day between Elias Lukwago and Sematimba, where at every polling center people were fighting. By 10 a.m. there was a war everywhere. What the Electoral Commission did was to cancel the election and hold the election at a later date. So the questions I ask, this election was worse, because in the case of the Lukwago and the Sematimba, it was supporters of both sides fighting each other. And so the Electoral Commission would not hold the election peacefully. But in this case, we had a third party who was not invited, armed trucks, military trucks, guns, soldiers with cables. So in the sense of the Electoral Commission, why did they proceed with this election? So I think, like Councillor Derek said, while Nambi honestly deserved justice, I don't know if she has got the justice, but the other issue, I doubted whether she will be able to enter Parliament, even if, because this ruling stands that, there have been similar rulings where the Electoral Commission has been convicted, but also the issue we challenged here, why we said she was wasting time, was the issue of being able to overturn the election and have a by-election. Now, according to the lawyers, they will tell you that when you have a ruling, you file a notice of appeal. As you file a notice of appeal, you are still a member of parliament. And in the Parliamentary Elections Act, for you to challenge, a petition like that to appeal, you need, I think, to file a record of appeal within 30 days. So if you count a notice within 7 days, but this one served the same day, I think, for some reasons, then a record in 30 days, and then the hearing, and then the law says within 6 months to elections, you will not hold a by-election. So in this case, could the objective be that even if they uphold the ruling, and then Kawempe doesn't have an MP the rest of the period, which we call chifiriza. Chifiriza, that let's just destroy society, we all lose it. So the people of Kawempe, because they have not been represented at all in this term. you know.
Let's not speculate as of now. And
But sometimes
hope
here
for
we
the
are
best.
prophetic. We are prophetic.
Okay, Richard, now I want to hear from you. Looking at the courage Nambi had, with all those voices, pulling her back and telling her all your efforts are in futility. But here, court pronounces itself in her favor.
I'm not sure about her favor. What has she gained? this.
Why some
what
of
has
her
Nambi
some
gained?
of her prayers were dismissed. For instance, she was claiming voter bribery; those were dismissed. Intimidation, but at least she won in the sense that NALUKOOLA's victory has been annulled.
So one is, I'm not part of those who would stand and say there was no voter bribery. Me, I'm not part of those. Justice Namanya can say those things because that is me. I am not part of those. I'm not in that court. I'm in this court of public opinion. I am not one of those who would stand and say there was no intimidation in Kawempe. Apana. I'm not going to be part of those. The lawyers will go there. I'm not. I am not part of those who says that the Yellow Group had a chance at winning that election. They didn't. And if you repeat it, they don't. So we can have the other gymnastics. I don't know what the political calculation is. Those gymnastics. We can have them. But the subjective situation on the ground, she was never going to be MP at this time. It is red. This part of town is red.
No, that is public opinion.
I said I'm from that court. So I'm Justice Baguma, of the Court of
And
Public
now
Opinion.
we are talking about matters of law. These are what-
Yeah, he's giving
The Court of Public Opinion, I'm not the one who coined it. It is these lawyers who coined it. And they care about it, by the way, when they are considering their judicial processes, they do. There are certain cases you will judge and you say, but the gravity of this one can create
chaos.
So they are not immune, but I am not going there. I mean, I'm talking about this court where I am. So Apollo, I am yet to understand the propaganda value of going to court. I'm still trying to understand that. I have my own thinking. Some of the thinking I don't share on television.
From what she said after the ruling, she actually said she was also going to appeal because her prayer to have her costs recovered was also shut down. You can proceed.
Yeah, so appealing and cross-appealing that's why it's called it gymnastics. That you have, I don't know if you have been to a gymnasium, but I was at that this morning. When you finish the marathon, they call you for, they say muscle relaxant.
Yeah.
Then you dance, then you jump. That's how I see it. So I was thinking at that end of the marathon and I was remembering Kawempe. So we can't be doing that. I'm not sure about the calculation, but the calculation, in me, I don't see it at the Nambi level. That calculation is being done at a higher level, whatever the calculation is. It's not Nambi is not the one with the calculator. What capacity?
Nambi is not alone.
What capacity of calculation does really she have? Without sounding unkind. So for me, I think
You're saying this is not Nambi.
Because you see.
And who is it?
Because you see Apollo. That you have a group of people who will come to a polling station that has police people deployed there, and they beat the polling official. By the way, we don't talk about that. The assault on the polling official. I don't know where that polling official is. It was a she. They destroy
the voting materials
with cameras on.
They even beat up our journalists
And they walk away.
and broke all the equipment.
And you say now me I should be putting my eyes on the unlikely honorable man. So that is where debate becomes difficult. Yeah, that is where this being on camera becomes.
But as a journalist and who has been in this arena for some time, did you expect this ruling, looking back at what happened during elections?
That you would condemn the conduct at the polling stations and use it therefore to overturn an election? Yes.
Oh.
Yes. My own supposition is that that conduct, in fact, was intended to create this outcome.
Oh.
That's my supposition. That you go.
Whatever happened,
yes,
was
that now I will stand up,
stage managed,
and I will box this lawyer, and I know you will take me
to court,
to police there. But this show will have ended. Yeah. I will stand up, box him, we will come, the show will end. We will go to police, we shall deal with the situation there.
That's what literally happened in Kawempe, in your view.
In my view. So we can discuss court, judgment. That is good for the people, it's good for the audience. But now for me, apana. And you see, so you take NALUKOOLA out of parliament and then what? This how many appeals can you make? Appeal, cross appeal, and now you say legally, if you appeal, he will remain in parliament. How many months? Are we remaining?
Yeah, just 6.
So the calculation of going to court is being done elsewhere, and I cannot claim that I have fathomed it.
For MPs, it is 6, and then another few months up to June.
So I can't say I've fathomed the calculation. I am also
almost
still,
a year.
I'm also still, foggy. It's still foggy for me.
From you, what now? What do you see? I mean, as we prepare for a general election with this precedent now.
Yeah, you see, some operations have been tested. You know that now you can overturn. You can overturn an election. You can go step in the basins, beat up people, and overturn an election. That operation has been tested, and the president has been set in court. So you can do it at a large scale. You can repeat it. So that one has been done, in my view, and I think it's perhaps the most important. Outcome of this process. But well, I have several suppositions, but
Thank you. Perhaps we'll get back to you. Councillor Derrick, that is exactly what I was telling you when you said this was a good ruling that would set a precedent and possibly instill discipline in political actors to ensure they organize and work properly. But what he said, this looks not to be a good precedent, and actually that's what some lawyers have been saying, that if chaos happens at polling stations, then there is a possibility an election will be annulled, a victory will be annulled. And within the political environment we are working in, he says this could have been a deliberate attempt, perhaps to frustrate the voters of Kawempe.
Well, what Richard is saying is mostly conspiracy theories, that Nambi's at the bottom of the pyramid, someone up there is pulling the strings, but
just can you allow me to politely intervene? Do you honestly believe that Nambi would have won or can win if we repeat that?
Well,
Honestly.
well, my
Sorry for putting me in a corner.
my job daily is to go to court and challenge giants and challenge the Goliaths of these. It's of course, when you go back to David's time, it will be impossible for him to put down Goliath, and just by a mere stone the giant goes down. So justice or equity aids the vigilant and those who are stable enough to go after a huge giant like the red wave in Kawempe North. You might even lose the battle, just like she lost the battle at polling day and all that. But you see, the war was to be set in court. You see, what Ugandans must understand, that laws are there to put restraining order on human beings.
Restraining order, but council
That's also not
reflect on the chaos and who started. I mean, I don't know. We may not have the evidence, but where did this chaos come from? And here we have chaos on a polling station or polling stations. Voting materials are destroyed, and eventually, court, like you said, maybe found evidence to annul an election victory.
And I have said it on this show that the judgment of the court lacks the sting to avert future chaotic incidences like the ones that you saw in Kawempe North. For instance, if the law was that if you participated in an electoral offense, you are automatically disqualified as a candidate, the whole chaotic scheme would lack command and structure, because the candidate, the first respondent, was found to have committed the offense of
Polling. I mean, campaigning
on polling day. And this is a lawyer, is a man of law. He should know better than commit these electoral offenses. The electoral commission should, the judgment lacked the sting of saying that the electoral commission would be able to pay heftily if such occurrences happen. If you conducted
deliberately,
if you conducted an election, because they had the ability, the law was there to guide them that if such things happen, you are not even supposed to declare. You're supposed to extremely just cancel and postpone, so that we do not go into cycles. We do not go into, courts are theater. I told you, justice is poetic. It's not necessarily about the truth. The truth could be Nambi. It is red in Kawempe North.
You have answered me.
But you see, in court we have actors. We have actors. Not necessarily. I told you, we have rules. We have the power to persuade. And luckily enough, the lawyers, even the people the people you present to you front to present your cause are also important.
So Nambi's lawyers
were persuasive. Number one, you see, in law we have something called parties are bound by their pleadings. I didn't see anything in this petition or cross petition that talked about the black mambas and all that. You see, and when Honorable NALUKOOLA was asked about campaigning on polling day, he simply gave what we don't like in law, a general denial. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yet it was a litany. There was a litany of affidavits, affidavit evidence of people who saw him chanting the people power, removing a dictator, we shall win, on a polling station where he was not supposed to be at that material time, in a charged up political environment, on a candidate who was allegedly abducted on the day of nomination, beaten up, roughed up, and all that. I think it was stinky.
Okay, I get it. You're saying even if this whole thing was choreographed and was deliberate,
yes,
the chaos was invented and generated.
It came from somewhere.
Wait a minute. You also say that NALUKOOLA's camp also made serious mistakes that cost them heavily.
Serious political mistakes, serious legal mistakes. they didn't approach court with clean hands. There were issues, if you read the judgment, there were issues of buying of witnesses, witnessing tampering and intimidation. And let me avert the fears of those who say he will stay in parliament. You know, court orders are not given in vain. They're not academic. They will not go to UMI, Dr. Wanzara, to study them and say, Justice Namanya did. They must have the capability of being enforced. Now, when you look at the timelines, because elections have timelines, there are two scenarios, about three scenarios. The first scenario is that NALUKOOLA appeals. I've seen a notice of appeal, but election petitions have timelines. And the law is alive to the fact that we cannot have a by-election after 6 months. Let me tell you, even if it's 30 minutes, and that appeal is lodged in the Court of Appeal successfully, after 30 days, you will find a judgment of 30 minutes. The judge will put you there, the justices will put you there, and they will deliver judgment. So at any cost, unless it goes beyond the constitutional limitation.
It is still possible.
It is still possible
that the judicial system can work.
It can work
out this petition.
Can be very efficient.
It can work. It can work because you see the speed at which this petition has been handled.
And NALUKOOLA is
trying to buy time. The legal team of NALUKOOLA is trying to buy time, in my view, and that's my personal opinion. But anytime you see, ready or not, there's that good song, I think Richard knows it. Here I come. Even if you hide, I will find you. I will find you. So NALUKOOLA, as long as the appeal is lodged in the Court of Appeal, it will be decided upon. Now, we have seen precedents that if the Court of Appeal has jurisdiction as a first appellate court, because we have only one appellate process, to look into, to make an inquest in the findings of the lower court, and also make separate orders of themselves, of itself, including variations. They can vary orders. For instance, they can even have seen a situation where number 2 has been declared number 1. The Court of Appeal has that.
Yeah, there
are precedents here in Sebonia, in Entebbe, and all those other things. Because of the time effect.
So you still think Nambi has a chance to go to parliament?
The legal system is insulated, is alive to such situations. Because the general rule is that we cannot have a constituency unrepresented unless otherwise.
Yeah, true.
Unless otherwise. The other aspect would be if the Court of Appeal says, no, my hands are tied, constitutionally I cannot go away.
Yes.
I told you court orders cannot be given in vain. They are not academic. They are followed to the letter. They don't go back to the source, who is the judge, unless the judge has declared that the seat of Kawempe North is vacant. It's vacant. There is no member of parliament. But there is an
appeal.
But the principle is that
NALUKOOLA remains, as of now, remains the MP for Kawempe.
That is, what do they call it? You survive by a whisker. NALUKOOLA is surviving in parliament by a whisker. But that whisker, that spider web will break eventually if the mechanisms of the law goes into force. Lastly, finally, if the Court of Appeal is unable to do the job, there are still other avenues like review. You go before the same judge, present legal situations like the timelines we've talked about, and that very same judge can sit down in his own cause because of this new evidence and revise.
So you're saying the battle still rages?
The battle still rages on. The only problem is now, because now we are not in a rare, we are not on a ballot box, we are not on a polling station right now. What we are is in a court of law, or courts of law. Now, it can't simply be public opinion. Public opinion ceased the day they decided to have a messy election. Whoever decided, whether Nambi's camp, NALUKOOLA's camp, or the Electoral Commission, or even JAT, whoever decided we should have a messy election in Kawempe North, set the trend and set the pace on how these events, the chain of events, have happened. Now, the judge, the judiciary, or the judicial system is insulated against giving its orders in vain. I'm sure because of the personal liability of finding Honorable NALUKOOLA guilty of an election offense. It's normally Lord Mayor Lukwago has made this Latin phrase famous. He was called in flagrante delicto, pants down. And you see, courts cannot sanction an illegality. Once it's brought, all aspects of pleadings, public opinions are set aside, and the course of justice. The legal argument that's winning the day right now is the fact that we cannot have a precedent of what happened in Kawempe North. It will not change. It's not likely to change, even if it goes to the Court of Appeal. Actually, even in the Court of Public Opinion, because judges, lawyers, and all the legal actors dispense justice in accordance to the norms and aspirations of the people of Uganda.
Thank you so much. And there I have it, viewers. It looks like the battle for Kawempe North is not about to end in any way, but it will end. I still have very few minutes to close the first hour, but let me hear from you once again, just in 1 second. Do you still insist this ruling sets a good precedent?
It is better than nothing. I told you it lacks the sting to make sure that it completely deals with those who want to a reincarnation of what happened in Kawempe North on all sides of the aisle. That is the ruling government, security forces, but that wasn't discussed in the judgment. It is timely. It is timely more so that we have chaotic elections marred with violence, bribery. He said, although the judges did not talk about it, there is no way you dismiss bribery in what happened. It doesn't matter where it came from. It was there, it was not proved in court. So it is important as Ugandans, if we must have a peaceful country, if we must have a progressive country, to avert all sort of filthy practices and violence. So you should not cut someone's leg because of an election.
But also we should not have the military and all security outfit beating up journalists and people and voters. And
you see, court orders are orders in rem. They are not orders in personam. They are orders against the whole world. It is a wake-up call for any political actor not to repeat the bad manners that were evidently exhibited in Kawempe North. For both the NRM, NUP, the security agencies, and most importantly, the custodian of electoral processes, the Independent Electoral Commission.
Thank you so much, our viewers. And I will be reading your messages when we return in the second hour, but we still interrogate the undertones now surrounding the ruling as the Kawempe North battle rages on. I still have 2 minutes from you, Richard. You've now realized
the courts are,
you've realized that public
must
opinion
be extremely wonderful places. Yeah, they are going to solve the problems of this country. We are safe. 2026 is okay.
You realize that public opinion stops somewhere and
it doesn't. You see, I don't know how I will be persuaded.
Yeah, because
and the lawyer doesn't
public opinion
me.
had it
but
that Nambi is wasting time.
Tell me that you see the laws are here and are made. No, they are children of politics. The laws are children of politics.
That's right.
So their DNA is political. And if we don't agree on that, then I am surrender.
Finally, from you, Dr. As we go for a break.
If public opinion said that was going to waste time, indeed it is wasting time. Because even if the election was to be nullified, she won
some and lost some. And actually, from what Council Funya told us,
yes, he told you that a ruling is poetic.
She still has a window.
Is it poetic?
Wait a minute. From what Council submitted, Nambi still has a window of opportunity to enter Parliament.
Actually, she can be MP against all odds.
Yes, now you have used the right thing. Against all odds. Nambi cannot fairly and justly
represented.
Not now. Not at this time, no. You can manipulate it, you can do everything, but fairly and justly, wapi.
The justice of God is that David must win a fight that he cannot fairly, equitably win. And that's what we're looking at.
If you use the Bible and you say the happenings were not fair and just, then you are overturning the entire Christian. No. So are you overturning? How can you say that for Nambi to win it is fair and just? That it is a representation of the will of the people of Kawempe.
Richard,
And we sit here on TV and say that I cannot be
Richard,
part of
I don't
that.
know. I don't think
It's a joke.
I don't think politicians really care whether they win fairly or
But I care. I do care.
we'll go for a break, and when we
As a
return,
voter, I do care.
we will be looking at your messages, your comments and observations on the ruling which was delivered this week. But also, when we return, we'll be looking at President Museveni's apology to Ugandans for the ills and the wrongs his government or agents in his government have committed in the last 39 years. Let's go for a break. We'll return after this short while.